Namo Namaha Bhavtam Sarvesham Hartam Swagatam. Welcome back to my channel Sanskrit Sopanam. I hope you are doing great. I'm also good. And finally, we are at the last shloka of the chapter 1 of Bhagavad Gita. That is the 47th shloka. And this particular shloka is like a closing statement that is spoken by Sanjay, who of course is narrating all the events of Kurukshetra battlefield to the Kaurav king Dhritarashtra. So a closing statement, what is it and what we can learn from it Sanskrit wise? Let's decode and find out. So as always, this is the shloka that we'll decode today. Let me go through the shloka once. Sanjaya uvacha eva muktvarjunah sankhye rathopastha upavishat visrajya sasharam chapam shoka samvigna manasaha. So this is the shloka in hand, and this of course is the Sandhi Vichhed version of the shloka. So you can see Uktvarjunah. A Sandhi is happening here. And apart from it, you also have this Anuswar Sandhi. Anuswar Sandhi is just when we expand the shloka, when we do the Sandhi Vichhed. So instead of this dot, the Anuswar, we rather use the Anunasik, that is the Ma, when we expand it. So that is Anuswar Sandhi. All the sandhis that are happening in the shloka, every detail is in the PDF file. You can download the PDF file from the link in the description box. Do download that PDF file, go through the word by word breakdown of the entire shloka and keep it for your ready reference. And now let us start decoding the shloka. So we are starting with this word upavishat. Upavishat, you can see this. Rathopasthe upavishat. Okay. Upavishat means sat down. Some third person, he sat down, she sat down, that we'll see who sat down. But upavishat means sat down. And this particular dhatu roop upavishat, this comes from up plus vish. So up here is the prefix, the upsarga. Vish is the main dhatu. And this particular dhatu actually vish, it also means to enter. This particular dhatu, this is mostly used in conjugation with the prefix. So if you will attach a prefix like suppose pra. So pra plus vish, this will denote this meaning, to enter. If you are entering a room, if you are entering some place. So pravish, in that sense, up, when you attach this particular prefix up, so it means to settle down, to sit down. That is the meaning. And this particular dhatu in third person, that is pratham purush, singular, ekvachan, and past tense. So lang lakar. In Sanskrit you say lang lakar. So in these three properties, third person, singular, past tense, this particular dhatu, it changes into avishat. So this is the same way a lot of dhatus changes their form in past tense. So pathat becomes apathat. Vadat becomes avadat in all those sense, right? So vish, it changes into avishat. That means some third person sat down. Okay, and now if you'll attach the prefix upsarga, so once you have got the verb form based on these three properties, then you always attach the prefix upsarga. Okay, so upsarga you always attach after you have got this particular form. So avishat plus up, due to dirgha sandhi, up plus avishat changes into upavishat. That is what is happening here. That is how we get from this particular dhatu, we get this dhatu roop. Okay. And upavishat, as we saw the meaning, sat down. Some person sat down. Now let us move on. And an immediate question will be kaha, or who? Who sat down? The answer we get is Arjuna upavishat. Arjuna sat down. So Arjuna, pretty straightforward. Coming from the Pratipadik Arjun in Prathama Vibhakti, that is first word case, and Ekvachan, a single person. So in Prathama Vibhakti Ekvachan, Arjun, Arjunaha changes into Arjunaha. Why? Because he is the karta of this action. Arjunaha upavishat. He sat down. Arjuna sat down. So this of course you all know by now. Let us move on. And since we have an adjective used in the shloka for Arjuna, that is why I am asking this question, Kidrishaha. What like? Arjuna, how is it described in the shloka? And the answer we get from the shloka is this, Shoka samvigna manasaha. That means mind agitated or distracted by grief. So Arjuna, whose mind is agitated or distracted by grief. That is how Sanjay is describing Arjuna. Okay, now in original shloka, you will see this word combined together because a samas is happening. This is a combination word, samas, right? So samvigna, this particular word, this means agitated. Something that is agitated. And now I want to convey that agitated or distracted by grief. Okay, so I will add this shok. So shok means grief, right? And if I want to say agitated by grief, so I will use the third case. So shok will change into shokena. So something that is agitated, samvignam, by grief, shokena, shokena samvigna, iti shoka samvigna. We will combine it. Okay. Now I want to say a mind that is agitated by grief. And for mind, I am going to use this word manas. Okay. So actually you have seen this word manas, right? Manas we generally use for mind. So this is derived, this particular manas is derived from this particular word only, manas. So you can also think that something that is derived from a mind. So you can think of it as mood also. Okay, mood. So this particular word manas, you can think of it as mind also. You can also think of it as a mental state, current mental state. So anyways, both the meanings will work in the context of the shloka. So shokena samvignam manasa yasya. Now I'm just showing how you can understand this particular samas. That yasya, yasya means one whose. Okay. So one whose mind or mental state is agitated by grief. So shokena samvigna manasa yasya saha shoka samvigna manasa. That is how we arrive at these combination word samases. Okay. But anyways, this is the individual meanings. Shok is grief, samvigna is agitated, manas is mind or mental state. Both you can take. But that is how Arjuna is being described here by Sanjay. And since this here is being used as an adjective, of course, this is describing Arjuna, right? So this also is going to use the Prathama Vibhakti first word case Ekvachan, just as this noun Arjuna. Okay, that is what is happening here. So Shoka Samvigna Manasaha Arjunaha Upavishat. Arjuna, whose mental state or whose mind was agitated by grief, he Upavishat, sat down. That is the meaning. Let us move on. Now the question is Kim Kritva. So Kritva is after doing, having done. So Kim Kritva, having done what? After doing what, Arjuna sat down. So Eva Muktva. That is the response we get from the shloka. Evam. This is the avyay. This is an avyay. Evam. And evam, this means like this. Like this, or you can also think of it like thus. In Hindi we say no, aisa. Aisa bolkar. Having spoken thus. Having spoken like this. In that sense, evam. Okay, and uktva, you can already guess this is coming from the dhatu vach. Vach dhatu. So vach dhatu means to speak. You also have a very similar dhatu, right? Vad. Vad also means to speak, same. But here we are using this particular dhatu, vach. Vach dhatu, to speak, and this particular dhatu is being modified. Wait, let me rewrite it here. So this dhatu vach is being modified using twa pratyay, twa suffix. And when you modify this, the resultant word becomes this, uktva. And uktva simply means after speaking or having spoken. In both these terms, that is what this particular suffix do, right? Twa. It changes the meaning of the action into after doing the action or having done that action. So that is what is happening here. Okay, vach plus twa, the resultant word becomes uktva. And evam uktva together will mean having spoken thus, after speaking thus. Okay, that is the meaning so far. And by context also, we already know this. Before this particular shloka, Arjuna, he was speaking all these dialogues to Shri Krishna. So after saying all those dialogues, giving all those reasons to Shri Krishna, Arjuna, now with a mental state that is agitated with grief, distracted by grief, he sat down. That is what is happening. We already know. That is same thing Sanjay is narrating to Dhritarashtra. Okay, and let us move on. So Kutra, this is an additional piece of information that Sanjay is including. That eva muktva sankhye. Sankhye. This is coming from the Pratipadik Sankhya. This is the Pratipadik. This is a neuter gender noun, and this Sankhya, this means battlefield. Okay, battlefield. In Hindi we say Ranabhumi. And since Sanjay of course wants to convey that having spoken thus in the battlefield, because this entire Bhagavad Gita dialogue, this is happening in between battlefield, in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So that is what Sanjay is describing here. That having spoken thus in the battlefield, so in the battlefield, Sankhya, I am going to use the seventh case and singular. So in seventh case singular, this Pratipadik Sankhya changes into Sankhye. Okay, we have already seen this happening, how this Vibhakti works. Simply meaning in the battlefield. That is what is happening here. Okay, so let us move on now. And now again we have the similar question, Kim Kritva, after doing what? The response we get from the shloka is Visrajya. Okay, Arjuna Visrajya Upavishat. That Arjuna Visrajya, after casting off. Casting off as in you are carrying something with you and now you are letting it off. Okay, you are unloading it in that sense. Let us see this word now. So Visrajya, this is coming from the dhatu srij. Srij is the main dhatu. Srij means to let off or to cast off. Again, as we discussed, V here is the prefix, upsarga. Now this particular dhatu is being modified using lyap suffix. Okay. So what we saw before, no, uktva. So what was uktva? Uktva was the dhatu vach being modified using twa suffix. Why? Because we want to say after speaking or having spoken. Same thing is happening here, that I want to convey that after letting off or having cast off. But since this particular dhatu here is being accompanied by a prefix upsarga. So we are not going to use twa, rather we are going to use the similar prefix suffix, that is this lep. So lep and twa, both these suffixes, both these pratyaya works similarly. The only difference is twa works with the dhatu that is solo without any prefix, and lep, this works with the dhatu that is along with the prefix. That is the only difference. Meaning is same. So v plus srij plus lep, the resultant word becomes this visrajya, that we see visrajya. Okay, that after casting off something, Arjuna sat down. So some new information is coming up. The immediate question, of course, will be after casting off what? So come, what? And the response is chapam, that is his bow, chap. So the pratipadik, of course, is chap. Chap means bow. Okay, that weapon that Arjuna was carrying, chap. Since this here is the object, the karma of this action, that after casting off the bow. So since this is the karma, the object of the action, so it is of course in second case, dvitiya vibhakti. Only one bow, so ekvachan, singular. So chap in second vibhakti, second word case ekvachan, becomes chapam. That is what we see in the shloka. So that is the sense. Let us move on. And now we see this particular bow is described further in the shloka. That is why the question kidrisham, what like? The bow, how is it described in the shloka? And that is sasharam. Sasharam. And this word sasharam, this simply means together with arrow. So he's holding the bow and the arrow together, and together he let it off. Okay, and you see the word here is actually, the main word is shara. This is the main pratipadik, shara. Shar means arrow. Okay. And in Sanskrit, whenever we want to convey this meaning, this sense, that together with, so in a lot of times we add this sa. So shar, arrow, sashar, together with arrow. That is the meaning. Actually, this also is like a samas, a compound word, because something you are adding, two words you are adding to make a singular meaning, right? By saying sharen saha. So saha, this is a avyaya, indeclinable. Saha, this we know means together, right? And since I want to convey together with arrow, so with arrow, I am obviously using the third case, tritiya vibhakti with the pratipadik shara. So in tritiya vibhakti, third word case, shar changes into sharen, meaning with arrow, by arrow, in all those senses, right? So saha sharen, together with arrow. Sharen saha iti, the compound word becomes sashara. So now you know the reason that behind this sashara, together with arrow, this compound word, this is the logic. Sharen saha iti sashara. That is how we are creating this word. Okay, and again, since sashara, this is the adjective for this particular bow, so using the same dvitiya vibhakti ekvachan. So sashar is also changing into sasharam. That is what is happening here. Okay, so sasharam chapam visrajya, Arjuna, after casting off his bow together with arrow, he upavishat, he sat down. That is the meaning. Okay, and if we'll move on, again he is repeating the question kutra, where. But now he's not talking about, Sanjay is not talking about the geographic location, because we've already seen this before, sankhye, in the battlefield, that Arjuna, after speaking thus in the battlefield, he sat down. We saw previously, right? But now this repetitive inquiry, where, this inquiry is about the current, what you can say, the current position of Arjuna, and that is rathopasthe, that Arjuna, he sat down upavishat upon the chariot. That is this word rathopasthe. Let us understand this word. So rathopasthe, this again is of course a samas, a combination word. The words that are included in this combination word are rath and upastha. These are the two individual words. This upastha, let us understand this word before. This tha. So whenever you add this tha after some word, some noun, so that indicates that situated in that. So suppose I want to say vanastha. If I say this vanastha, so see, I am adding this stha along with this word vana. One we know, forest. Okay. So vanast is something that is situated in the forest, in that sense. And that is why we also say this word, no, grihast. Grihastha jivan. So what is grihastha jivan? A life of this, a family life. Why? Because graha, this denotes home, right? Home or family in that general sense. So stha, something or someone that is situated in a family, in home, that is grihastha. So now you know the meaning of this word stha. And here in our case, we are saying upastha. So this word up, this is used to denote above. Above, or actually the better use is upon. Okay, upon something. So upasth means situated upon. Simple as that. And since I want to say rath ke upar, that upon the chariot, situated upon the chariot, that is why, since I want to convey this, that rathasya upastha. Okay. Since this is the implied meaning here, so when we add these two words, so when we make a samas, we have already covered this point before, we add them in their native state, in their base state, pratipadik state. So rath plus upasth, due to gunasandhi, the resultant word becomes rathopasth. That is the word here. And since I want to convey now that Arjuna, after casting off, after removing his bow and arrow, he sat down, upavishat, upon the chariot. He sat down upon the chariot. That is the sense here. So since the meaning here is he sat down in the chariot, upon the chariot, in all those sense, in or on, we are of course going to modify this particular pratipadik in its seventh case, saptami vibhakti. So rathopasthe, that he sat down upon the chariot. That is the meaning here. Okay, and with this we come to the translation Anvay section. Let us go through it. Eva muktva, having thus spoken, Sankhya, that is in the battlefield, that having thus spoken in the battlefield, Arjuna, that is Sanjay is talking about Arjuna, Shok Samvigna Manasaha, Arjuna, whose mind, that is Manasa, mind, and you can also think of it as mood or mental state, whose mind or mood or mental state was agitated, Samvigna, with grief, Shok. So, okay, so Arjuna, whose mind was agitated with grief, Visrajya, after casting off or after letting off, after unloading, Chapam, the bow, together with arrow, Sasharam, together with arrow. So Arjuna, after casting off the bow along with the arrow, Rathopasthe, upon the chariot, Upavishat, sat down. Okay, that is the entire meaning. That having thus spoken in the battlefield, Arjuna, whose mood, whose mental state was agitated with grief, after letting off his bow along with the arrow, sat down upon the chariot. So that is what is happening. You can imagine what is happening. That Arjuna, he has said whatever he wanted to say as for now, and then with grief, with saddened by grief, with all those heightened emotions, he sat down at the back of his chariot. So that is the entire decoding of the shloka, and with this particular shloka, we complete the entire chapter 1 of Bhagavad Gita, that is the Prathama Adhyaya of Bhagavad Gita. And now there are few things I want to address before starting with chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita, but I'll rather address that in a separate video, in next video. So I'll meet you in the next video. Until then, stay awesome, stay happy. Vayam puna milamaha. Dhanyavad.